welcome to highlights of the 1992 Monaco Grand Prix, brought to you by Mircoprose and GP2Joey. It's round 6 of the season, and we're in the millionaires playground of Monte Carlo, where one mistake can take you from hero to zero in the blink of an eye. Britain's Nigel Mansell was the winner last time out in San Marino after a dominating drive for Williams-Renault in what proved to be an epic race full of drama, a highlight of which was the coming together of McLaren drivers Joey Davies and Michael Schumacher as they battled over second place. In the Drivers' Championship, Mansell now has a 13-point lead over Benetton's Martin Brundle, with the two McLaren men tied in third on 16 points, with Brundle's teammate Johnny Herbert in fourth, ahead of Alain, Prost and Ayrton, Senna, who were tied together in fifth on 9 points. In the constructors' standings, Williams hold a slim 4-point lead over McLaren, with Benetton a further 4 points further back ahead of Ferrari in fourth, Ligier fifth, Rd6 sixth and Footwork in seventh. After Imola, Williams once again reiterated their stance with Jean Alesi that the Frenchman needed to repeat his fine third position if he wanted to keep his seat at the team. Racing legend Mario Andretti called on Ferrari to sort themselves out or risk losing his son Michael and star driver Senna for 1993, and Andrea motor boss Andrea Sassetti claimed his team would go well in Monaco and perhaps finally qualify for a race. Without doubt, the biggest news was the fallout down at McLaren between the team and its drivers Davies and Schumacher, with the latter blaming the defending world champion for causing their collision at Imola. It all led to a team source confirming the two were practically at war with one another, in a situation reminiscent of the tension 11 years ago at Ferrari between Gilles Villeneuve and Didier Pironi in 1982, ironically also after the San Marino Grand Prix. With only 30 minutes for the teams and drivers to get themselves sorted, pre-qualifying is always as dramatic off the track as it is on it, and so at Monaco, getting a decent setup is always an adventure. And so it proved as drivers fought to find the speed from their cars straight out of the box, and whilst it was perhaps no surprise that Bernardi ran out the fastest, courtesy of Gianni Morbidelli and Pierluigi Martini, Von Vital also managed to scrape through with Andrea de Cesaris and Olivier Griard. All that, however, was trounced by the shock news that both Andrea motorcars were themselves fast, and subsequently saw drivers Alex Caffey and Britain's Perry McCarthy both manage to progress, whilst for once the team booked themselves a weekend of racing, and it was their rivals who were forced to pack up early and head for home. As ever, Thursday is the first day of practice at Monaco, with Friday a rest day, but for Mansell there was no such desire to lounge around the harbour front, as the Briton immediately jumped to the top of the timing screens to lay down a sublime marker. And some lap it was for the Williams driver. Julie ended up remaining unbeaten to the end, despite the efforts of Davies, who took third in the McLaren, and Senna, who always excels here, with the Brazilian taking second fastest, as Alesi, Brundle and Schumacher struggled over the bumpy track. Saturday could and perhaps should have delivered more for Davies after the Briton sensationally beat Mansell's time from Thursday, before immediately running out of fuel and stopping on the track. Unable to make it back to his garage, the Briton's lap time was deleted, much to the Briton's frustrations once more with his McLaren team. Senna meantime failed to improve in the Ferrari, but Brundle and Herbert managed to set faster times, but in the end, Mansell's lap from 48 hours previously remained unchallenged, and he claimed a fine 6th pole in as many races. Davies got the T-car and posted a time good enough for second, which subsequently demoted Senna to third on the grid. Schumacher continued to disappoint, as did Prost and Andretti in 8th and 9th, with Berger a fine 10th and Mika Hakkinen a superb 11th in the Lotus, whilst for the first time in their history Andrea Moda would start a race after Caffey and McCarthy managed 23rd and 26th respectively. With overtaking at a premium here at Monte Carlo, afterwards Mansell simply looked forward to keeping the lead into Sandevot on the first lap. Davies declared his intention was to grab the lead at the start and stay there, while Senna again reiterated his desire for Ferrari to give him a car capable of finishing the race. For Mansell's teammate Alesi, there was joy after a decent showing, with the Frenchman declaring his intent to fight for the podium, whilst Benetton boss Flavio Briatore confirmed his expectations for Brundle and Herbert were for at least one of them to finish in the top 3. Schumacher confirmed he just struggled to get his McLaren to manage the bumpy track, before his manager Willy Weber publicly questioned the integrity of the team and their capabilities in giving his man a shot at the title. And a source inside McLaren then confirmed that growing tensions were quickly proving a difficult situation for boss Ron Dennis to manage. So it's Mansell and Joey Davies on the front row with Ayrton, Senna and John Alesi on row 2. Row 3 is Martin Brundle and Johnny Herbert. Row 4 is Michael Schumacher and Alain Prost. Row 5 is Michael Andretti and Gerhard Berger. Row 6 is Mika Häkkinen and Riccardo Patrese. Row 7 is Damon Hill and Nigel Frentzen. Row 8 is Mark Blundell and Alessandro Zanardi. Row 9 is JJ Leto and Eric Bernard. Row 10 is Thierry Boutsen and Gianni Morbidelli. Row 11 is Stefano Modena and Pierluigi Martini. Row 12 is Alex Caffey and Andrea De Cesaris. And at the back it's Derek Warwick and Perry McCarthy. The final car pulls onto the grid slot as the red lights come on and the 78-lap Monaco Grand Prix is go! It's a great start from Mansell in pole position with Senna going up into second. He's ahead of Joey Davies. In the McLaren he's down to third. Up the hill towards the Massenet, it's Mansell ahead of Senna with Davies in third. It's Alesi fourth, Brundle fifth, Schumacher's in sixth with Herbert in seventh. And round the left-hander of the Massenet, it's still Mansell ahead of Senna, but Davies is going round the outside. He's round the outside and Davies is through. He's up into second place. Well, that's a fantastic pass. Into second place behind Nigel Mansell. As they come down to the Mircoprose now towards the Lowe's hairpin, it's still Mansell in the lead as Davies goes for the inside. He completely takes Mansell unawares. Mansell was completely sleeping and Davies jumps through into the lead. Fantastic opportunities. He's gone from second on the grid down to third and he's back into the lead already. And we're not even halfway around the lap as Senna comes under attack from Alesi. So Alesi's up into third place. The rejuvenated Frenchman has now passed Senna's Ferrari as Senna tries to make the move back into the chicane and he can't get through there. Davies is still ahead of Mansell. Alesi's up into third, it's Senna in fourth, with Brundle fifth, Schumacher sixth, Prost is seventh, Herbert's dropped to eighth, ahead of Andretti in ninth and Gerhard Berger in 10th in the Joas Porsche. As they come down towards the Rd6 for the first time, Davies is still just about holding on. He's half a second ahead of Mansell with Alesi 1.6 seconds further back. Senna's 2.5 seconds, he's over 2.5 seconds now further back. As they come across the line for the first time, Mansell's just dropped a little bit of pace away from the McLaren, who's in the lead into the braking for Sandermott. And up the hill, it's Joey Davies still ahead of Mansell. Fantastic start from the McLaren driver, and let's see the replay.
Initially, it was a very poor getaway from Davies there. You can see he bogged down with a lot of wheel spin. That enabled Senna to get up the inside of him into Sandermott there. Fantastic racing from Senna. Great opportunism. And up the hill here, Joey Davies has actually got the better run on Senna's Ferrari. And as they come through here, it just looks as though he's too far back. And then he spots that Senna's just a little bit hesitant on his cold tyres. And Davies just slips it up the inside. Fantastic, brave move there. Very late on the brakes down into towards the Mircoprose there. And this is just absolutely exceptional. Talk about overtaking without any fear. That's absolutely exquisite racing there. And he's now in the lead.
And that's Martin Brundle slowing. Brundle, I think he's hit the barriers. Martin Brundle is retired. So he gets passed by Schumacher, Prost, his teammate Herbert, Andretti and Berger. And that's one of the Jordans. But back up front, Mansell's coming under attack from Senna. As Davies is still in the lead, and there's a big train of cars behind him. And Davies, we know, is going to be he's running the hard compound tyre today.
Yes, my understanding is that Joey Davies and Ayrton Senna are both only going to be stopping once today. Everybody else seems to be on the softer B compound tyres, but those two are on the harder A. So they're opting for one tyre stop today.
And I think that that's probably going to enable Nigel Mansell to be able to get a good run on him.
Well, that's providing that he can obviously get past the McLaren, because Davies will no doubt make his car very, very wide.
He certainly will, but Mansell is already on the attack with his teammate John Alesi, who's just overtaken him. But Mansell sends it up the inside of the chicane, and he's through. So Mansell is up into second place. Fantastic passing. Well, for a racetrack that doesn't really merit much overtaking, we've already seen more than a couple of years' work. And this is only lap 15. And that's Michael Andretti smoking in the Ferrari. He's out. Andretti's engine has blown.
Does that really come as any sort of a surprise, a Ferrari blowing up? I'm just waiting for Senna's one to go off.
As Blundell hits the barriers and he collects one of the low rooses. I think that was Eric Bernard. But Mark Blundell has clattered into the barriers. I'm not sure if he's damaged his car, but Eric Bernard has lost the right front part of his wing. And Senna's trying to make a move on Mansell yet again. Through the tunnel, but there's nothing doing there. Mansell's now dropped nearly a second further back from Joey Davies as they go through the chicane. And that's a Minardi spun. That's Martini. Pierluigi Martini has spun in the Minardi. And he just about manages to let everybody else get past. before he sticks it in reverse, and he carries on once more. But still, Joey Davies will be right on board with the McLaren. He's got Mansell swarming about all over his gearbox. Mansell's going to try and have a look for the outside into Sandoval, and they touch! My goodness, I'm not sure what happened there, but I think that was perhaps an underestimation of his braking capabilities from Mansell as Senna swarms back. And that's Patrese coming to a stop. Patrase's completely stopped in the Joeys. My goodness me, that's Gerhard Berger. So both Joeyists are off at the same point in the same race, and that is a terrible nightmare for the team. They're both out.
That's quite extraordinary there to see both Patrese and Gerhard Berger out there. I'm not sure what happened to both of them. Perhaps we'll see a replay later on. But both drivers out as Alain Prost comes into the pits from 7th position. And this could be quite a good thing for Alain Prost here, because he knows that Davies is holding everybody else up. And once he's made his pit stop and everybody else is going to make theirs, I'm pretty sure that if he finds some clear space, he may actually be able to pass some drivers here, as we look at Brundle and JJ Leto going through Sandoval there.
Well, that was close, but look at this. As McCarthy comes into the pits, we're riding on board with one of the back markers, I'm not sure who that is, who nearly takes Ayrton Senna around as Michael Schumacher comes in for his first tyre stop. And Herbert's in, but still Joey Davies is circulating on his tyres. And that's Senna! Senna, he's passed by Jean Alesi and Senna's pulled over. I'm not sure what happened.
I think that's a suspension failure. I suspect it looks by the left front wheel looked to be raised up, and I would suspect that he's had a right rear suspension failure there. So once again, Ayrton Senna retiring as Cappy's into the pit, and Schumacher through the swimming pool section. Schumacher's in 6th position, having made his tyre stop as Nigel Mansell comes in for his. So it's going to be interesting.
And Alesi's come in at the same time. Both Williams drivers have come in, and that's enabled Alain Prost to get up into 2nd place behind Joey Davies, and he's 16.5 seconds away from the Briton, who's in the lead. But Jean Alesi's in 6th place now, with Nigel Frentzen and Damon Hill in the 2 Jordans in 7th and 8th. And that's one of the Ligios pulling over. Is that Prost? Prost has retired.
That's Thierry Boutsen. So the Belgian retires yet again. He retired last time out as JJ Leto seems to have clouted the barrier.
That's Leto out. So Häkkinen's up into 9th position. Leto's out, and that's going to elevate Alessandro Zanardi into 10th position. But look at the battle between the 2 Jordans of Frentzen and Hill. It's Heinz-Harald Frentzen ahead of Damon Hill as they're trying to negotiate their way around the Andrea Moda of Perry McCarthy. It's fantastic racing to see him in the race. And Joey Davies, the race leader, comes into the pits. But where is he going to emerge?
Well, there's absolutely no doubt that he's going to emerge behind Alain Prost as Herbert goes off at the chicane.
Herbert's off. So Johnny Herbert, I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe we're going to see a replay. But Herbert's made some sort of a mistake, and that's enabled Nigel Mansell to go through. And Sean Alesi in 4th. So Herbert's dropped down to 6th place because Davies has made his stop. Herbert's down to 6th, and where's Frentzen and Hill? Are they going to pass the Briton? Because that's been a disaster as Nigel Mansell, he's snaking about all over the back of the McLaren of Schumacher. So Mansell's desperately trying to close the gap up to Alain Prost. And there's the old race leader, Joey Davies. He's still down in 4th position now as the 2 Jordans are battling once again. And Hill can't find a way past the Frentzen's Jordan there. But Prost is still 15.1 seconds ahead of Schumacher, with Mansell in 3rd. It's Davies in 4th, with Alesi in 5th, and Schumacher's now desperately holding up Mansell. And Joey Davies, who's on fresher tyres, he's made his pit stop as Alain Prost. He's across the line, and he's still in the lead.
The lead's over 14.4 seconds now. So Alain Prost is driving an absolutely brilliant race. But let's not forget, he's got to make another tyre stop. So I think that for him, and obviously for Schumacher, that's going to drop them both behind Joey Davies, who's actually now found his way past Nigel Mansell.
And Davies has got ahead of Mansell. Fantastic. So Davies is up into 3rd place, ahead of Mansell in 4th, with Alesi in 5th, as Schumacher comes through Sandoval. And Davies is snaking about all over the back of his McLaren teammate. Oh, he's going to almost touch him as they come up towards the Massenet. As Davies, is he going to try the same move as he did with Senna? He goes round the outside and he's through. Fantastic. They clashed last time out at Imola, but Schumacher's not going to have any of that, I'm sure. Is he going to dive for the inside? He doesn't. Davies is so good under braking, but what a fantastic pass from Davies.
Absolutely exceptional there. Joey Davies, he's absolutely got no fear. For him to pass Ayrton Senna around the outside of Massenet and then to do the same on his teammate, and how refreshing to see the two of them going through a corner without actually touching wheels. Absolutely phenomenal driving from both of them. But it's damn exciting as Schumacher. He's still blocking Mansell. Mansell can't find a way through. Davies is up the road and he's chasing Alain Prost, and he's closed the gap to 13.2 seconds with Schumacher in third and Mansell in fourth, with Alesi fifth. It's Herbert still in sixth, with Hill up to seventh as Hakkinen drops. He goes up to eighth as Schumacher, he locks up the brakes with Mansell snaking about all over the back of him. But it's Frentzen in ninth place with Zanardi in 10th as Blundell and Morbidelli almost come to blows into the Massenet corner. But there's Alain Prost coming through the Casino Square with Mansell into the pits, and Schumacher's past Perry McCarthy's Andrea Moda. He's through into Sandoval. But what's going on as Zanardi passes Martini, so the two of them are battling over position. But Joey Davies, as Prost comes into the pits, Davies is up. He's there, he's round the Rascasse, he's just got the right to go. He's got the right and then the left, and he's going to be coming across the line. Prost is still in the pits. Yes, Alain Prost is still in the pits, and that means that Joey Davies is now going to go back into the lead. But quite sensationally, he's got to run over 37 laps now. 37 laps on the same set of tyres. As Frentzen almost takes out the race leader. My goodness me, he almost took out Davies, but Davies has managed to get his way through. But Alain Prost is only 8.4 seconds, and Davies has got to run the same set of tyres now until the race's end. But is Alain Prost going to be able to close up the gap with Nigel Mansell 21.9 seconds further back? He's definitely going to be closing, but Prost is only 3.1 seconds. Has Davies got some sort of a problem in the McLaren? No, I'm not sure if he's got a technical problem, but definitely Alain Prost is on fresher rubber. He's got more grip, and the Ligier driver is definitely closing the gap now as Nigel Mansell almost spins, trying to negotiate his way past Mika Hakkinen's Lotus. Fantastic! Mansell, he actually hit the barrier, but he just about manages to keep it out of it, and he's still circulating as Prost now. He's closed the gap, and it's only 1.5 seconds, with Mansell only 8 seconds further back, and that's a Minardi out. I think that's Pierluigi Martini's pulled over there. So it's Martini out. Fantastic with Prost now. He's only 1.2 seconds. He's closing the gap to Joey Davies, and he's definitely going to be able to close. But that's Nigel Mansell. Mansell's just overtaken Alain Prost, and Davies goes through Casino Square. These shots are absolutely superb. To see it, we need to see more in-car shots. But that's Mansell. Mansell's going to try and attack Davies down into the Mirabeau, but Davies just covers the inside line superbly, and there's nothing doing there for Mansell as Prost almost gets through. But Prost is into the pits again. I'm not sure what's happened. We're hearing that Prost has had some sort of an electrical failure. He's had to come in for another restart. But Mansell's all over the back of Davies now for the lead. This is sensational. Davies blocks the inside line for the chicane. Mansell takes the outside line. Can he get through there? He can't. And Davies is still ahead. It's beautiful just listening to him flip the throttle with only 12 laps to go. Davies has got warm tyres. Mansell's on fresher rubber. And we're back on board with the Englishman as he's got Mansell now. Watch Mansell just close up the gap as Schumacher. Schumacher gets hit by Johnny Herbert. Herbert's lost it. He's hit Schumacher. And that's allowed Alesi through. No, Alesi's just allowed Herbert through there. So Alesi loses out. Alesi drops down to 5th. But Prost is still in 6th place. But he's only 3 seconds. There's only 3 seconds covering the top 6 cars. This is sensational. With only 10 laps to go, we're on board with Mansell. This is Mansell's Williams-Renault, and he's got Schumacher and Herbert on his gearbox. Everybody's breathing down everybody else's neck. They're less than half a second away as Caffey loses the Andrea motor. He crashes into the barrier. Is he going to be able to see the end of the race? But look at this as Davies is going through Casino Square. It sounded to me as though Davies was stuck in gear there. I'm not sure. I need to have a listen to that, but that sounded very much as though Davies was stuck in gear. And we're hearing he's stuck in 6th gear. Davies is stuck in 6th gear in the McLaren, and it's a complete traffic jam behind him because even the Jordans are in on it. But they're a lap down. So Damon Hill's a lap down, but Davies, you can listen to how slow they're crawling around.
Davies is stuck in 6th gear. He's having to creep round the corners, and there's absolutely no chance that he's going to let Schumacher, Mansell, Prost or Alesi come through as they come through towards the tunnel, and Schumacher looks like he's going to try and make a move on Davies.
Yes, but there's nothing doing there as Prost looks to try and make a pass on Alesi, but he can't get through there. So that sensational racing right the way through this is absolutely exquisite racing. As Mansell just runs a little bit wide there, but it's still a McLaren 1-2. But is Davies going to get attacked by Schumacher? Davies blocks the inside line into Tabac. There's nothing doing there for Schumacher. And Schumacher's hit the barrier. My goodness me, I'm not sure if that was Davies' fault for cutting him off, but Schumacher's just clouted the barrier. Has he damaged the McLaren? I'll be amazed if he actually hasn't damaged the McLaren, because so many drivers have hit the barriers today and then subsequently got either a puncture or a suspension failure. So this will be quite extraordinary if Schumacher's actually able to finish the race. But both the Williamses are behind him now, with Alain Prost trying to desperately fight his way past Jean Alesi there, because Mansell is in 3rd position and Nigel Mansell will feel very aggrieved today, I'm absolutely sure, if he doesn't end up winning this race. As Schumacher goes through, Alesi tries to take the move on Mansell, and that's allowed Prost to go through. And this is the final lap now. This is it. Davies is up the hill. His gearbox is sounding a lot better. I'm not sure if he's still stuck in 6th gear. I don't think he is, because Schumacher has definitely dropped back now. He's a second further away. But Alain Prost is up into 3rd place. Prost has passed Nigel Mansell up the hill towards the Massenet. So Davies is still in the lead, and it's the battle behind him as he locks up into the mirror boat. It's still Schumacher, and he's got his rear view mirrors full of Prost Ligier, with Mansell down in 4th, Alesi 5th, and Johnny Herbert in 6th place, with one of the Jordans in the middle of them as they come round the Lowe's hairpin for the final time. But is Schumacher going to be able to close the gap now? Davies looked like he was going very slowly there around the right-hander towards us. There, Alex Caffey retires. Well, that's a shame for the Andrea Moda team. But up front, Davies just cuts right across Schumacher, who was desperately trying to take the lead on the final lap. He can't do anything about it. Can he do it at the chicane? It's still Davies as he locks up. I think he's still struggling with his gearbox, but he's just about managing to hold off his teammate. They came to blows in San Marino. Will they come to blows in Monte Carlo? Davies defends the inside into Tabac. They're into the swimming pool. Around the left, they're through the right. Schumacher desperately. Can he try and find a way through there? He can't. Davies just blocks it up. He just cuts it right the way across, and he puts his car in the middle of the road. And unless he can find a way around the Rascas, Davies has only got 3 corners to go. He's round the first part. He's round the second. He's just got to accelerate around the final right-hander and then the left. And Joey Davies accelerates. He lights up the rear tyres. And he's past the pits, and he's across the line, and Joey Davies wins the Monaco Grand Prix. Fantastic! What a sensational performance from the Brazilian, from the Briton. Fantastic! He held off his rivals, and he manages to take his first ever win around the Principality. Usually, Monaco is a follow-my-leader kind of race, with little or no passing, but the fraught end to today's Grand Prix was nothing other than exciting and dramatic, as Davies held on brilliantly to take his first win around the Principality. McLaren teammate Schumacher took a frustrating second ahead of Prost in 3rd, who drove like his old self to finish ahead of an angry Mansell, who felt a certain win was unfairly taken away from him by the antics of Davies, whilst Alesi finished 5th and Herbert 6th. Also starring with the 2 Jordans of Hill and Frentzen, and especially Andrea Moda's McCarthy, who miraculously finished the race in 14th position. After the checkered flag, there was uproar from Davies' rivals, as both Schumacher and Mansell deemed the Britain's driving at the end to be beyond acceptable and called for him to be disqualified. The race stewards listened to their case, but ultimately race director Roland Brunscherader deemed Davies had driven to the letter of the law and his win would stand. Soon enough, the defending world champion was stood with the royal family and team boss Ron Dennis, having collected his first winner's trophy of the season, proclaiming it to be right up there with winning the title in Adelaide last year. Meantime, down at Ferrari there was yet more angst, as after yet another double DNF for Andretti and Senna, the Brazilian then declared he was going on holiday to make a decision whether he would quit the sport with immediate effect, such as the dire situation of the Italian team. In the driver's standings, Mansell moves on to 33 points at the top, as Davies goes second on 26, 4 points clear of Schumacher in third, as Brundle drops to fourth after his DNF,
Prost goes 6th ahead of Herbert, who jumps Senna as Alesi goes 8th. McLaren reclaim top spot in the constructors' standings and go 7 points clear of Williams as Benetton stay 3rd ahead of Ligier, with Ferrari in 5th, Joe is 6th and Footwork staying 7th. Round 7 of the season sees F1 head to Montreal next, and the circuit named after Canada's favourite son, the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve, where Alain Prost was the winner last year for McLaren. But can the Frenchman find the same form a year later? Can Mansell get back to winning ways? Will Davies be in contention to take a second win of the season? And will Senna decide to even race, or will he have walked away from Ferrari? One thing's for sure, it's going to be a dramatic weekend in North America. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for round 7 of the 1992 Formula 1 World Championship and the Canadian Grand Prix.